Rami X back in the video because all enjoy today's video. Make sure to like, share the video to our friends who likes what ifs or just anime content in general. And with that being said, hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you are new here, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button, as it would be greatly appreciated. But not only that, you can check out my second channel down below where I also make discussion videos and what ifs. And tell me if the audio in this video is just a bit better than any of my other videos. I just recently bought a new phone, though the audio aspect wasn't really why I upgraded. Anyhow, I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video, and with that being said, we can get into the video. So, in the last part, we ended off with Naruto basically getting to fight Zabuza, and we're at the beginning of that fight, so we'll kind of just pick up there. And we can now fully get into the story. Sakura would protect Tazuna, as Kakashi would fight Zabuza, and Naruto was also with Kakashi fighting Zabuza at this moment, until Sasuke, was basically being beat by Haku in Haku's ice mirrors. Naruto would immediately decide to help Sasuke, as Kakashi is a Jonin. He knows how powerful Kakashi is, as the Kakashi is also like 2 times stronger. And so he just decides to go help Sasuke, who's in more of a predicament, if you will. And so he does. Naruto would enter the ice mirrors as he would look around, basically getting acclimated to his surroundings, as he would tell Sasuke that it's a bit cold. Sasuke would then laugh, telling Naruto that he already knew that, as he would fire off an Uchiha style Great Fireball Jutsu, knowing that he can now waste a little bit of chakra, especially since one of his comrades are there, that being Naruto. Naruto would then smirk. Well, let's do this, Sasuke. Eventually, they would realize that Haku was a bit too fast, as Naruto would decide that he would break the ice mirrors. Sasuke, when hearing this, would immediately laugh, as he was surprised that Naruto would even think of such a thing, because in a way it made no sense. But Naruto would explain, with one of his modes, if you will, because I explained how Naruto has assault mode / berserk mode, attack mode, and defense mode. With attack mode, if he pushes all chakra to one limb, he can fire off a superpowered kick, punch, or really even a headbutt if he so wishes to or chooses to. As such, Sasuke would understand, as Naruto would tell Sasuke to give him a little bit of time and stall. Sasuke would immediately get on the offensive, making and forcing Haku, in a way, to mainly focus on him, as Haku was curious of what Naruto was going to do, and if he would even do anything in the first place. Eventually, Naruto would be ready, as he would push all chakra to his foot, as he would get into the air, doing a bit of a spin and slamming his foot into the ice mirrors, which would immediately cause them to crack. Haku was immediately surprised at this, as Zabuza would get off-guarded. This is a stronger Kakashi by about 2 times if he's not using the gates, which would mean he would immediately slap Zabuza and just take advantage of him being off-guarded by somebody even being able to break Haku's ice mirrors, which was very surprising to him. Naruto would then smirk as he would grab Haku mid-air, because Haku was kind of flying down, if you will, because he was in the air just a little bit, as Naruto would then grab Haku and basically apply pressure to the joint of his foot and then slam him into the ground. This would kind of cause Haku to feel immense pain and would make him not really be able to stand, at least not with as much might, if you will. Naruto would then push Haku forward, as Haku would then stumble to his feet. Haku would then ask how Naruto was able to destroy his technique, or to be more specific, his ice mirrors. Naruto would then smirk. With my attack mode, any jutsu that I've faced is no match for my attack mode, especially if it's defense-based. Courtesy of my attack mode. You don't say. Well, let's see you break this. Magnificent Rock Dome of Nothingness. Magnificent Rock Dome of Nothingness is a technique that Haku has. He actually does have this in the canon, if you will, but it's when he is an Edo Tensei, and if he has it as an Edo, it's not like he's learning any jutsus in the afterlife. Just saying. Excuse my sniffle. So, I believe he's just gonna use it here. Naruto would then decide to do what he did again, as he would then slam his fist this time into the dome, as his fist would go right through it, but every side of the dome would not crack. Naruto was kind of surprised at this. He didn't break it, but he broke through. Naruto thought to himself, what an interesting jutsu. Haku, that's your name, is it not? Yeah, it is. Well, what an interesting jutsu you have here. Now, Naruto would immediately use his left hand, as his right hand was basically through the dome, as he used his left hand to cast a jutsu, that jutsu being the fire style fireball jutsu. Haku would immediately jump back as he would evade the fireball. This would give Naruto enough time to pull his hand out and to basically seem unscathed. Even though around his hand, he was starting to get a little bit cold and the blood vessels within his arms were starting to constrict as the ice was still pretty cold. Which usually happens when you're very cold or ice is on your arms. It really just depends on the situation and how cold it is. But we're going to say for the sake of the story that it's cold enough to make his arm feel numb. Naruto would then decide that he needs to go all out to defeat Haku, or at least not go 30%, because at this current moment, he's at about 30%. Naruto would then decide to raise his power up to about 70%, as he would now absolutely just slap around Haku. Haku was basically just getting slapped around like a rag doll, as Naruto would then decide that he was going to end it, as he would then pull back his fist and slam it into Haku. Haku would then go flying into a few trees as a massive amount of smoke would appear, causing Naruto to believe that Haku had just made impact with the trees and had taken pretty good damage. Not minimal damage, but not really immense damage. Just that middle mark, if you will. Naruto would then decide that he was ready to finish off Haku, as, like I said before, Naruto has been in the ninja world. I said this in the last part. Naruto's been in the ninja world, so he kind of has his ninja morals already made up, and one of them is similar to his Nindo, if you will, and that's just, the never give up and things of the sort. And so, seeing what he had did to his comrade Sasuke, as Sasuke did have a few bruises, scratches, he had a few cuts that were bleeding, things of the sort. This is not the Sasuke that was like half dead though, so he's pretty good and he can stand. But Naruto wasn't standing for it, as he will do anything for his comrades, especially if they were in need or if they were injured. As such, he would start to approach Haku, as Haku would stand up for himself. Black marks would now be visible on Haku's body, as his mask was completely shattered in two behind him on the floor. Haku's muscle mass would then start to get bigger, as he would then tell Naruto that he is no longer playing around. He has seen that Naruto is, well, a very good opponent and is very powerful, so he can no longer hold back, even if they are just Genins. Naruto would smirk. I wouldn't have it any other way. Now, let's see what you're made of, Haku. Haku would then rush towards Naruto, as he would slam Naruto into a formation of rocks. Naruto was surprised at how fast and how strong Haku had gotten in mere moments. What were those markings? Naruto thought to himself. On the other hand, we now switch to the perspective of Zabuza, who had just been forced into a situation similar to Haku's. Black marks would now appear on his body as well. How interesting. I'm sure some of you may know what these are, but if you don't, they're curse marks. I think I made that kind of clear. But, it was pretty simple how they got them. Basically, they had met Orochimaru on a mission, as this is not the normal timeline, so if Naruto's all Dojutsu, I'm kind of going to change up their side of the story, if you will. So they're just going to be a bit different and a lot stronger. Basically, they have the curse mark, and they have the highest form of curse mark, similar to the one that Sasuke has, and the other Sound 4 members. Meaning that they are Orochimaru's subordinates. Anyhow, let me explain how they got it. Basically, they were on a mission where they were about to die. Orochimaru was nearby and could sense the chakras basically colliding and fighting, so he decided to watch. Eventually, he would reach out to them and tell them that if they wanted to live, they would basically pledge their loyalty to him. As such, they would, and Orochimaru would give them the curse mark, and that's that. as such, they would get the curse mark, and they would continue to rise through the ranks, and their bodies, for the sake of the story, are going to be strong enough to withhold the curse mark, and they're not going to just, die. Because the curse mark success rate is kind of low. Which means that the curse mark success rate goes up. But with that being said, I think we can now get back to the story. Zabuza would then stand up with new might, if you will, as he was now 100% confident that he was gonna beat Kakashi. So he would immediately put his all into it, as Kakashi would kind of get slapped around, just like Naruto was, but not really slapped around, but slapped. Kakashi would then be sent flying, but would catch his footing, using a kunai to grab onto the ground, and then basically catapulting himself into the air and firing off a fire-style fireball jutsu, and then immediately after that, a water-style water dragon jutsu, which would create a massive amount of steam, which helped Kakashi kind of maneuver around Zabuza with his Sharingan being able to see through the steam / mist-like steam, as he would then cut Zabuza with a kunai. Dirty tricks, Kakashi. I never knew you were known for such things. Well, it's not every day that your opponent gets massive gains out of nowhere. Now, would you mind telling me what those black markings are? And why your power increased? Sorry, but I can't tell you that at the moment. Maybe I can tell you in the afterlife. Now, Zabuza would then unleash his mist, if you will. It was kind of shown as just a mist jutsu, so the mist is Kekkei Genkai of sorts. Kind of like how certain clans have one jutsu, it's just like the mist is jutsu. The mist jutsu. Which would cause Kakashi to not really be able to see too much through the smoke, but with his Sharingan it really helped. Kakashi and Zabuza would now have a fight, which was basically on even grounds, as Kakashi at this point hasn't really activated the first gate. And if this Kakashi is 2 times stronger, Kakashi and Zabuza kind of fought on even footing in the canon, with Zabuza being at a little bit of a disadvantage, and the curse mark gives about almost a 2 times gain. Well, then I think it's safe to say that they're on even footing at the moment, not to mention his other form of the curse mark. And we can now switch back to the perspective of Naruto. Naruto would now stand as he would crack his knuckles and crack his neck. So, Haku, how did you get so powerful? Just a minute ago, I was able to slam you around, just as if you were some doll. So tell me, where did that power come from? My power? It's nothing. Just a little advantage of being allied with Orochimaru. Orochimaru, you say? I know him. The snake guy, long black hair, long tongue, serpent eyes, and, that guy, one of the Sannin. I'm surprised you know him so well. Have you ever met him? No, but my old man's talked about him quite a lot. Like I explained before, Naruto's old man is Hiruzen, as they kind of have a father-son bond. And Hiruzen's talked about Orochimaru to Naruto, and has also warned Naruto of Orochimaru in the case that they ever meet, especially since he technically has met Orochimaru in his timeline, and Orochimaru has raised him and knows a lot about Naruto. So if they were to fight, it would be not too good of a situation, at least not for Naruto. But then again, Naruto's gotten a lot more skills, so I guess we would just have to see about that. Naruto would then decide that he's had enough, as he would immediately go into attack mode, pushing chakra into all 4 of his limbs, those being his arms and his legs. Naruto would then rush towards Haku, as Haku and Naruto would kind of be on an even footing, with Naruto having a slight advantage. Naruto would decide to raise his power up to 80%, as he would now start to dominate Haku, who would immediately realize such things, going all out. This would then put Haku at enough even terms to be able to not just kind of be smashed around, if you will, or slammed around, so he would actually be able to hold his ground, that being Haku. Naruto would then decide that he's tired of just kind of raising his power to trump Haku's, as he would just decide to go all out. This would put immense strain on Naruto's body, as he would then decide that he was going to end it with one attack. Naruto would then clap his hands together, as he would yell out, Wood style. Great wood attack. All directions would swarm Haku as wood would appear. Haku would then be grabbed by the wood, as it is said that wood can absorb chakra, so it would start. It would absorb the chakra of the curse mark, as Haku's curse mark would then start to fade. Haku is now as weak as he was before, and if you remember, Naruto was destroying Haku in that fight when Haku was just without the curse mark. So think about how much Haku is trying to struggle out of the wood style right now. He can't really because he's not too strong. Naruto would then smirk as he would then start to laugh to himself. Huh, I thought you were enough of a threat to pull out this jutsu? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong about you. Haku would continue to struggle as Naruto would laugh. Don't be so eager to leave my jutsu. You probably won't be. Now, lightning style. Lightning surge. Naruto would then put his hand on the wood style as he would immediately push lightning style through it. Also, I am aware, earth is weak to lightning. The wood would immediately shatter, but it would do damage to Haku, that being the lightning. Not only that, but the lightning is amplified because water is one of the elements, needed to make wood style, meaning that if you combine water and lightning, you get a pretty high zap. But don't try that at home. Naruto would then laugh to himself just a little bit more as he would ask Haku where he could get so much power, how he was able to just kind of increase his power so easily. It kind of makes no sense just to Naruto because it's not every day you run into somebody who can just raise their power by about 2-fold. Somebody that doesn't have the gates, at least, or other techniques like the heavenly breaths and things of the sort, though the heavenly breaths are kind of a filler move. Naruto would then tell Haku that it's over, as Haku would smirk. It's not over. The minute you released me from those shackles was the minute you doomed yourself. Haku would then fully transform into the curse mark stage, if you will, as he would now have one kind of wing, but it wasn't a wing similar to Sasuke's. It was kind of like, I wouldn't know how to explain this, but it was kind of like an arrow coming out of his back. Haku's eyes would now become slit-like, as they would have a bit of eyeshadow around them, similar to when Naruto activates the 2 and 3 tails, and even the 1 tail's chakra forms. Naruto would then look amazed as his jaw would drop. So much power in somebody so weak just moments ago. You know, I thrive for battle, but when it's so continuous, when my opponent is so eager to get stronger, when my opponent continues to, it kind of weakens the fun, don't you think? Now, I did think about this. I shouldn't have put that lightning through the wood, though it did do damage to you. It should slow you down enough for me to be able to win this fight. Now, wood style. Wood devastation. Wood would then appear behind Haku, grabbing him, as Haku would immediately slash away this wood faster than it could basically be produced. Naruto would then start to be surprised at how strong Haku was getting and how crazy he kind of was. Haku was now kind of going berserk, as it is stated by Kidomaru that the curse mark eats away at your chakra and eventually eats away at your insanity, or your sanity, meaning that you eventually go insane. And just saying, Haku has used the curse mark multiple times on missions with Zabuza, so that Zabuza doesn't get injured, because, well, in a way, he's like Zabuza's guard, Zabuza's tool. Really just depends on how you want to spin it. Haku would then decide that he was going to end the fight as he would rush towards Naruto. Naruto would then jump back as he would continue to jump back, knowing that too many people were nearby and he couldn't go berserk mode / assault mode. Naruto would then realize the situation he was in as he would bite his thumb. Get away from me! Summoning Jutsu! Naruto would then slam his hand into the ground as a massive amount of smoke would appear. Haku would then stop in his tracks as he would look around, trying to look through the smoke, but it was really kind of impossible. The smoke would then clear as he would see a massive, and I mean massive, just toad above him. This toad dwarfed Haku. Haku was a bit scared, but then he realized that if Naruto couldn't beat him, then why could his Toad? Haku would then jump into the air, using the claw-like hands that he now had to scratch into his Toad. Naruto's Toad would then feel damage, as this Toad's name, for the sake of the story, is gonna be named Tama. I don't know why I'm gonna call him that, but we're just gonna call him Tama. Naruto would then realize that Tama was hurt, as he would then decide to guard Tama with his wood style, creating like a wood armor for Tama, as he was now a wood armored Toad. Tama would then start to slap Haku around in each of his hands, kind of playing, I guess you could say, ball with him, football in a way. He was basically just tossing Haku from hand to hand, and this didn't do too much damage to Haku, but it was still kind of annoying and made him a lot, and not just a little, dizzy. Naruto would then decide that he needed Tama to stall just for a bit so that he could gather chakra, as he would. Naruto would then grab his scroll, laying it out, as he knew that he now had to get serious. Too much was on the line for him to A, die here, and to B, let any of his comrades be injured any further, and to let these people, that being Haku and Zabuza, just live, if you will. Naruto would then pull out both of his short swords, as he would then tell Tama that he can return back to Mount Miyaboku, because he does not really need him anymore. Tama would then tell Naruto that, is he sure? Asking Naruto if he was sure that he should go, as Naruto would tell him, yeah, you've done enough, Tama. I can carry it the rest of the way. Tama would then nod, disappearing into smoke, and basically reverse summoning himself back to Mount Miyaboku. Naruto would then jump down from Tama while he kind of reverse summoning himself, so he had a place to catapult off of, as he would land on the ground. Tama would then be gone now, as Naruto would have nothing to worry about, as he would immediately clash with Haku. Haku would now clash with Senbon to sword, as that didn't really work out too much, or too good, because Senbon, even though they are decently strong, they're not stronger than a sword, at least not in my books. So Naruto's kind of like slashing and cutting away at these Senbon, and slowly over time just making them kind of just, I wouldn't know how to explain this, but making them get lower and lower, which I did explain. Naruto would then rush towards Haku, grabbing him by his throat, as he would ask Haku why he kept attacking him, and why he looked so different. Haku would just grunt, as Naruto was kind of concerned for Haku, as he would decide that since he does have Haku in a position where he can't really escape, he would make sure that Haku is tied down, using his left hand to create the rat hand symbol, or hand sign, as he would then summon some wood style to hold Haku and drain him of his chakra. Naruto holding Haku allowed for the wood to basically continuously sap Haku of his chakra, and force Haku to not be able to like get up and just slash away the wood like he did before. Haku would then start to revert back to normal, as Naruto would then decide that the process was taking too long, and Haku was still very aggressive. He would then look into his scroll, grabbing a bit of a item, if you will, and this item was a coin. Naruto would then put the coin on Haku's head, as he would bite his finger. Naruto would then smile. Let's see. Naruto would then flip the coin as it would land on heads. Well, it seems to me like I will not be killing you today, Haku. Now, sealing jutsu. Eradication. Naruto would then seal Haku, but it wouldn't really seal him away, but instead it would seal away the chakra, the evil chakra, if you will, that being the chakra, the curse mark. Naruto now held all of the chakra, the curse mark, making Haku no longer have any marks on his body, and his body was basically just back to normal. Haku would then pass out, as Naruto would get off of Haku and release the wood shackles. Naruto would then hold the darkness as his jaw would drop. This chakra, so menacing, so malevolent. It's so dark. Why? Why would somebody even accept such a power? And this is what being Orochimaru's subordinate gets you. Naruto would then start to compress the chakra with his own power until it became a mere ball, if you will. Naruto would then decide that this power was not his own, so he would not basically absorb the chakra for himself. Naruto's eye would then start to hurt a little as it would start to tingle. Naruto would then grab it in a little bit of pain, but also in a little bit of shock as he would drop his swords. Naruto would then drop his jaws. He would start to grunt a little. Naruto's eye would then change color as it has now become the Jogan. A lightish, bluish, greenish eye. Naruto would then grab his sword, lifting it up and basically looking at his reflection with it as he saw that he now had a new Dojutsu. You see, the Jogan is formed by creating the Byakugan, or Hyuga DNA, and mixing it with Uzumaki DNA. You see, the Jogan could have sprung much earlier in Naruto's life, but as somebody who was in Uzumaki and Hyuga, that being Boruto, only unlocked the Jogan when he was 12, I see no reason why Naruto, somebody who wasn't born a Hyuga and Uzumaki, would unlock it any earlier. So this is when Naruto's gonna get the Jogan. Naruto would then decide that he just got a new Dojutsu, so he was kind of happy about that, as he would then put his sword down and would send the chakra back into Haku, which wouldn't really do too much to his body, but definitely inside he was feeling a surge of power. Haku would immediately wake up, looking around and looking at his surroundings as he would ask what happened. Naruto would then explain that he had entered some sort of form where first he had black markings, and then second, his body changed colors to a brownish tan color, and his eyes had become black exterior and yellowish interior. Haku thought to himself, so I used that form. That form. What is it? It's known as the curse mark. Haku would then start to scratch the back of his head as he would then continue. You see, Orochimaru had gifted us great power. I never knew it would come at such a price. It seems like what Kidomaru had told me years ago was true. If you overuse the curse mark, your insanity, it will grow. And your sanity will be nothing. Just like a pit of nothing. I advise you do not use that power. But you're lucky it landed on heads. Landed on heads? What do you mean? Let's just say fate was nice to you today. Now rest. Have anything I should know about? My master, Zabuza. Master Zabuza cannot be injured. He cannot be killed. What's so important about him? He... Trust me, I won't be killing him. I'll just make sure he doesn't kill anybody. Naruto would then jump into the air, as he would eventually basically just go tree to tree until he got to where Kakashi and Zabuza were fighting, as he would make sure Sasuke was okay along the way, and would make sure that Sakura was doing a fine job of protecting Tazuna. He would then aid Kakashi in defeating Zabuza, as this would be basically a wipe. This would only take about 5 minutes for the two to do this, as Zabuza was kind of going berserk, and with his long sword and his big sword at that, it was kind of hard for them to kind of just like defeat Zabuza, especially with his mass and just, you know, all these factors being into play, if you will. Anyhow, Naruto would then decide that he would tell let me explain this. Naruto was telling Kakashi that he should not defeat and basically just kill Zabuza because Haku had told him not to, and it was kind of like a promise. Naruto would then have his word respected by Kakashi. Basically, Kakashi's respecting Naruto's word and is not going to end Zabuza's life or injure him to a point where he would need a lot of medical attention. Eventually, since a lot of time has passed, Gato's men would appear. The bridge at this point has already been made, so they're kind of just walking across the bridge. And they're seeing that Zabuza has not done his job. He has not beheaded Tazuna, and he has not killed him. So, you know, Gato's kind of angry, being the mob boss that he is. He would then walk over to Zabuza, as he would then tell Zabuza that he hasn't completed the job, so he's decided that he'll just kill him and all of the rough rats around. Gato is completely oblivious to the fact that Naruto, Kakashi, Sakura especially, and Sasuke are not all, like, on their last legs, even though they may be panting heavily, even though they may look really roughed up and maybe injured, they're not at all. They're basically ready to fight. Gato would then send his men after Naruto's team, that being Team 7, and Haku and Zabuza, as they wouldn't get too far. Team 7 would immediately just like dispatch of them, except for really Sakura, who was just completely making sure on basically just keeping Tazuna safe. And with that being said, this is going to put a wrap up to the Land of Waves. Zabuza is actually going to become a Kage here, as he's going to protect the village that he once tried to harm, but he's just going to kind of be a standing Kage, but he's kind of going to be a full Kage at the same time. He wants to make the Land of Waves just a better place, as Naruto had spoken to Zabuza, telling him that even though he may work for Orochimaru, he should have his own goals as well. He should be able to be a good person while he serves Orochimaru. Naruto would know, and Zabuza had here basically Zabuza, hearing Naruto say this, had asked him what he meant by he should know, as Naruto would explain how Orochimaru was basically like his father at one point. And Zabuza, knowing this relationship, would kind of respect Naruto's words, even though he was a subordinate of Orochimaru's, becoming the Kage and basically strengthening the village. And with that being said, Team 7 would return to the Leaf Village, as they would kind of get scammed by, or sorry, they wouldn't get scammed by Tazuna, and they would return to the Hokage office and where Hiruzen would be. And Hiruzen would basically congratulate them all as they did debrief him. And with that being said, we're kind of just going to gleam over everything until we get to the beginning of the Forest of Death, because I believe everything goes the same except for the written exams, where Naruto scores a 10 out of 10. I don't know about you guys, but I think Naruto's pretty smart here, especially since he's been raised by Orochimaru, and Orochimaru's not going to let some knucklehead boy not learn, right? He's not going to let Naruto just, sit around and just be dumb. So he taught Naruto a bit of things, and so Naruto's pretty smart and gets a 10 out of 10. And, yeah, so now we start off at the Forest of Death, and Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke are running through it. And that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed. Check out my second channel down below. Make sure to like, share the video to a friend, like so it is, or just my content in general. Comment down below your thoughts and feelings about the videos, as well as what suggestions that you'd like me to do on my second channel, or even my main channel. And with that being said, Rami X loves you all. Rami X, out.